Hello, good evening, and welcome to Daf Yomi Maseches Chagigah, Daf Gimel, number 3. Because Maseches Chagigah, the Hebrew word means celebration, so we're going to celebrate tonight. Usually you celebrate Chagigah, Shalmei Chagigah with meat. Tonight we're not going to be eating meat. We're going to be eating some chocolates. Looks like a mushroom over here. You could put your mushrooms on your meat when you eat it. Maybe not the dairy ones. That'll probably be buster with challah, but they're good dairy ones. Belgian chocolate. This is good stuff. My siblings got this chocolate from a store in Geula over here. Belgian, real Belgian, authentic Belgian chocolate in honor of the birth of my daughter. Sent it, so I'll have some. I made a bracha before. Real Belgian chocolate. Chagigah. Celebration. Alright. You can hear Zora screaming in the background. I'll do this quick. Belgian chocolate is different from Swiss chocolate. It's very rich, much more chocolatey than Swiss chocolate. Swiss chocolate has a lot more milk content. But it's good. Personally, I like Swiss chocolate better than Belgian chocolate, but Belgian chocolate is probably maybe the classiest chocolate. The number one producer of chocolate in the world is Godiva, which is headquartered, I believe, in Brussels. All right. So now that we're getting started with Chagigah celebration, let's start the Gemara. We have a special Eid with Ben Sion today. You're not going to want to miss this. It's going to come up right afterwards. I'm going to do this small shir, 8-minute shir, about a topic on Daf Gimel. It was started on part of the shir was from Daf Beis. That was the lead-in to we're going to speak about tonight in Daf Gimel. So if you haven't listened to Daf Beis, go now and listen to it. If not, I'll be able to fill you in Daf Gimel, and we'll be able to figure it out anyway. All right. The fourth line of Daf Gimel and Aleph. Gemara says, "Ma'ishnal inyan re'iyah de b'tiri, ma'ishnal in simcha de mechayvi." We concluded earlier, yesterday's shir, that there's a difference between the mitzvah of olas re'iyah and the mitzvah of shalmei simcha. Shalmei simcha is also brought on the regalim. It's brought to eat the mitzvah, to eat the meat, which is v'samachta b'chagecha, basar v'yayin. That is someone who you only putter if you're a cheresh out of a cotton. You're a cheresh, that someone not only can't you hear, but you also can't speak. But when it comes to olas re'iyah, even if you have one of the two, you have one deficiency, you can't hear or you can't speak, but you could hear, you would still be putter from olas re'iyah. So the Gemara says, why is that olas re'iyah is more lenient? So the Gemara says, Gemara re'iyah mahakel. We learn Gzera Shav re'iyah from hakel, the mitzvah of hakel, which happens Motzei Shvius. Shvius is the 7th year, the Shemitah year. After the Shemitah year, this is Shemitah year, next year. After Rosh Hashanah, after the first day of Sukkot, the first day of the Yom Tov of Sukkot, the first night of Chol HaMoed Sukkot, they bring a bima to the Azara, and the Melech reads all of Sefer Dvarim, this Hakel, time of the Beis HaMikdash. We don't do that nowadays. We learn from Hakel. The Chsiv Hakel as Amha Anashim Anashim Ba'ataf. You should gather the nation, the men, women, and children. Chsiv Babo Kol Yisrael Liros. It says by Hakel, when all of Kol Yisrael comes to see, Re'iyah, it says the word Re'iyah, seeing. V'hasaminal, and where do you know over there? So it's just like it says Re'iyah over here, and it says Olas Re'iyah by Olas Re'iyah. By every regular, you have to bring an Olas Re'iyah. So just like over there, we're going to see that if you have one deficiency, you're putter, here also you're putter. And the Gemara says, "V'ksiv v'bo kol Yisrael v'hasaminal." Where do you know from there? The Chsiv laman yishmu laman yilmadu. It says by Hakel you should hear, you should bring everyone together to hear and to learn. V'tani laman yishmu. The Bible says laman yishmu prat lamadaber v'ena shameya. Yishmu means to come to exclude someone who could speak but he can't hear. Laman yilmadu prat l'shameya v'ena madaber. Yilmadu, he learns to exclude someone who can hear but he can't speak. So the Gemara assumes, the Gemara says, just because you can't speak, does that mean you can't learn? What does one thing have to do with the next? We have a proof the otherwise. there were two mutes. They didn't speak. They were in the neighborhood of Rebbe. Bnei Barte the Yochanan ben Gudgada. They were the grandchildren of Yochanan ben Gudgada. Amrila ben Achti the Yochanan. Some say they were the the nephews of Rabbi Yochanan. The Cholei must have him ayel Rebbe lebei midrash have ayel v'yasvu kamay. Whenever Rebbe came to the base medrash, they would come and they would sit in front of Rebbe. Menai dibrei shayu, and they would nod their heads whenever he said something. They would understand. And umarachshin tfasayu, they would move their lips like that. They couldn't really speak. They would move them physically, but not really emitting any words. Uboy Rebbe Rachme, Allah Rebbe had compassion on them. He was very hurt that he was moved that they couldn't speak. Itzu, and they were healed and they were able to speak. It was found out they have a greater hilsa of a sifra b'kula hashas. And once they were able to open their mouths, they realized they had learned. They knew all the midrashim, the sifra and the sifri, and all the shas. They knew all the shas. You ever wonder what autistic kids know? Autistic kids, sometimes they sit, sometimes they learn. You don't know what an autistic kid really knows until he's able to open his mouth and tell you. Our Marzucha says Karibe Laman Yilmedu. So you see from this Gemara that even though they couldn't speak, but they could learn. They knew all of Shas. So just because you can't learn doesn't mean you can't speak. Doesn't mean you can't learn. So the Gemara said, my answer is Karibe Laman Yilamedu. It's written in Laman Yilmedu that you should come to hear and to learn. Yilamedu is to teach others. So therefore, we learn from that pasuk that they have to be able to teach others. Therefore, a mute, he can't teach others. He can't open his mouth and properly teach someone. So therefore, a mute is someone who's excluded from Hakel, and he's excluded from Olis Riyah, which is connected to Hakel. Rav Ashi Amar Vadai Laman Yilmedu Hu. He brings further support for this. It has to be Laman Yilamedu. You have to read it Yilamedu. These Tagadaydach Laman Yilmedu just means they can't see. If it came into Lo Mishdai Lo Gamar, and you're going to have to conclude what? Because they can't speak, they can't learn. Came into Lo Shama Lo Gamar Haim Laman Yishmu Nafka. And then what you have to conclude also that anyone who can't hear, if he can't speak, he can't learn. So if he can't hear, we would assume he also can't learn. So why do you need a pasuk Laman Yishmu that they have to hear? We should know that from one pasuk Laman Yilmedu would teach you if we assume someone who can't speak can't learn. So someone who can't hear also probably we'd assume can't learn also. Elavadai Laman Yilamedu, who must be Laman Yilamedu. That's the proper way to read it. He has to be able to teach. Amar Rabbi Tanchum. Tanchum teaches Cherish Be'az No Achas Pater Min Ariyah. Someone who's deaf even in one ear is exempt from the mitzvah Olis Riyah. Shneimar Ba'ozneim. It says by Hakel Ba'ozneim, plural by Hai Ba'ozneim. So the Gemara says Ba'ozneim is 2 ears. So if he can't hear with 2 ears, when he's deaf in 1 ear, so then he would be pater. So not only that you can't hear, even if you could speak and you can't hear, but even if you can't hear in 1 ear, that's it. You're already pater from Hakel and Olis Riyah. We need it for something else, the Gemara asks. Me'ozneim means that all of Yisrael has to hear it, plural, that all of Klal Yisrael has to hear Hakel. At least whoever's in Eretz Yisrael can come, should try to come. The Gemara says, "Whom you neged Kol Yisrael nafka." The fact that all of Klal Yisrael has to hear, that's from a different pasuk, neged Kol Yisrael by Hakel. Even neged Kol Yisrael, have I mean, so the Gemara says, no, you can't learn from neged Kol Yisrael. Have I mean, avagav lo shami. If it's just neged Kol Yisrael, it has to be, the king has to read all of Seir Dvarim in front of them. But even if they technically couldn't hear, there was a wall blocking them or something like that, or it was soundproof and they couldn't hear. It has to be in their ears, they have to hear it. Who the Shami? So that's really the Gemara's question. The Gemara is saying over here, we already have a pasuk, Ba'ozneim. It comes to tell me that it has to be in front of all of Klal Yisrael. Neged Kol Yisrael is not good enough because that wouldn't teach me that they have to be able to hear. Ozneim teach me they have to be able to hear. So once you have Ozneim, Ozneim is needed to teach me that it has to be in front of all of Klal Yisrael where they're able to hear. So what do you need? What do you need the pasuk? How could you learn that even if you're Cherish Be'ozen Achas, you can't hear with 1 ear, you're still pater? So the Gemara says, "Hu Laman Yishmu Nafku." The Gemara says, really, the fact that all of Klal Yisrael should be able to hear, that comes from Laman Yishmu. They should be able to hear. Ozneim teach me that you need 2 ears, even 1 ear is pater. Now, so the Gemara here, the Rishonim, Tosfos, they bring in Art Scroll footnote number 24. This problem with the Gemara is that it seems to imply that Laman Yishmu is needed to teach me that all of it has to be done in front of all of Klal Yisrael. If that's in fact the case, that we learn out of there, so how did the Gemara learn before? Laman Yishmu is to teach me that someone who only could hear, meaning the only deficiency he has that he can't hear, but he could still speak, is still patur from Olas Riyah. It's needed to teach me something else, the fact that it has to be in front of all of Klal Yisrael. That seems to be Maskana the Gemara over here, that has to be in front of all of Klal Yisrael. And not to teach me that Olas Riyah and Hakel are different from other mitzvos, and that even someone who's a cherish but he's medaber, he can't hear but he can speak, is still going to be patur from Hakel and Olas Riyah. That is a question we'll be dealing with in Imam Ben Sion. Check it out. It'll be there. All right. The Gemara continues. If he's lame in one foot, meaning he has disability in one foot, he can't walk. Shenemar, he's patur from re'iyah, not just if both feet. Shenemar raglayim, regolim. There's regolim. Regolim means plural, that you have 2 feet. How regolim in boile probably common. Regolim is needed to teach me something else, that if you have your feet are amputated, you have wooden feet, that's not considered feet, then you're patur from Olas Riyah. Hu me pamayim. Nafka. It says in the Torah pamayim. Pamayim is it means twice, but also means footsteps. The sign of pamayim in pamayim el raglaim. Pamayim means that you have to actually have feet. If you have wooden feet, prosthetic feet instead of your actual feet, so that is not considered footsteps. Nisanya chenu omer termasna regel ragle ani pame dalim. The footsteps should trample the footsteps of a poor person, and it repeats itself. Pame dalim. Dalim is another way of saying a poor person. Pame is that it's not just the actual walking; it's actual footsteps. The bottom of his feet have to be actual feet. Omer mayafu hamayach ben alim basta div. Another proof that pamayim refers to the bottom of your feet. How nice are your footsteps in your shoes, basta div, the daughter of a nadiv. Darash Rava Maidich says, the Gemara is going to darshan this homiletically. What does this mean? Darash Rava Maidich says, mayafu pamayach ben alim basta div. Kama noyin raglein shal Yisrael. How beautiful are the footsteps of Klal Yisrael. Shasha on the regel basta div. When the time when they go to the regel basta div, they are Klal Yisrael is the daughter of a nadiv, a generous donor. Bito shal Avram Avinu. Klal Yisrael is the boss, is the daughter of Avram Avinu, Shnikar Nadiv. He was called the generous one. Shnemar Nadiv Am Nesafu Am Elokei Avram. The generous ones from the nations gathered together the nation with the God of Abraham. Elokei Avram, Elokei Yitzchak Yaakov. Normally Hashem is referenced as the God of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Why is he picking Avram over here only and not Yitzchak and Yaakov? Elokei Avram Sheyat Kila Gerim. It signifies Avram because we're referring to Klal Yisrael as a generous nation. Avram was considered the generous one of the Avos because he was the first ger, he was the first one to convert to Judaism, and he inspired others to do so also. So he's called Nadiv, and we're called Bido Shal Nadiv. Amar Rav Kahana Darsham Nasram Yumi Mishum Yitan Kumaydich Siv Abor Reikem Omai. Another drasha. It says by Yosef, when they threw him in the pit, the bore was empty. There was no water in the Rashi never bore reik. We know the fact that it says that the pit was empty. Any Odeya Shem Almayim. Of course, I know there's no water there. Almayim Einbal when the extra words teach me that there was something else in the pit besides the water. There were snakes and scorpions. The brothers still decided to throw him in. Tarba Ma'aseh Rabbi Yochanan ben Baroka Re'azer ben Chasma. Two Rabbanim Shahalchu Lahakol Pnei Rishua Pekin. They went to Rabbi Yeshua, his town was Pekin. Amar lahem ma chidush hayav beis hamedrash. They're going to visit him. Farshim say on the regel. Supposed to be Makal Pnei Rabbo Beregel. Ma chidush hayav beis hamedrash. They asked him what they learned. He didn't go to the beis medrash. What did they teach in the beis medrash? They said to him, "We're your students, Rabbi Yeshua. We're supposed to drink from your waters. We're not telling you anything. You should be telling us something. You should be teaching us." He said, "Afal Pikin, I want to hear from you. Must have been they said something new in the base medrash. Shabbos Shalmi Haisa. Whose week it is? It's Shabbos Shalazim Azariah Haisa. He said it's the Shabbos Shalazim Azariah. For those of you who remember Mesechus Brachos, there was a machlokes. Some people got angry at Rav Gamliel, and eventually it was decided that 3 weeks Rav Gamliel was his week, and 1 week Elazar ben Azariah after they demoted Rav Gamliel temporarily. He asked them, what did they teach? What did he teach about Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah today? I'm with Parshas Hakel. He was talking about Parshas Hakel, Madarashba, and what drush did he give about it? Hakel Sam Anashim Ataf. Pasuk says you should gather the whole nation, men, women, and children. You understand why the men came. The men came to learn. Nashim Bos Lishmoa. The women came to hear. They didn't understand what they were learning, but they came to hear at least. Mataf Lama Bain. They can't really hear anything. They couldn't hear the word. They don't understand words. In order to give schar, Hashem wanted to give extra schar to the people that brought them. Amar Lahem Marglis Tova Hisab Yadchem. You had a special pearl in your hands of Bikesh La'abim. You didn't want to teach them. You wanted to make it lost from me. I'm happy you taught it to me. Oh Darash Es Hashem Amarta Yom. What else did he teach? You made Hashem special praise today. Hashem made you praise today. Hashem said to Yisrael, you made me special among the nations in the world. I'll make you special in the world. We say every day, Hashem, listen, Yisrael, Hashem, give praise to Hashem. Hashem is the God. Hashem is the only one. Because you do this, I will make you special among the nations. Shenemar, as HaKadosh Baruch Hu says about Klal Yisrael, who's like Klal Yisrael, a singular nation among the nations of the world. Afu, Pasach, V'darash. And not only that, Elazar ben Azariah taught other things. What else did he teach? Darash Divrei Chacham ki darbonos, masmeros, and tuim bali asuvos, nasnu, miroa echad. Lama nimshul Divrei Torah ledarban. This pasuk is talking about Divrei Torah. Divrei Chacham, the words of the Chacham, the words of Talmidei Chacham is like a darban. And darban is a goad. It's a pointy metal stick that you use to prod animals to walk while they're plowing a field. Just like this goad directs the oxen when they're plowing the furrows, the Hotzi Chaim La'olam, in order to plow the field, in order to plant eventually. After Torah Mechavnes Lamdem and Archimisa Darchaim, so to Divrei Torah, point the person direction away from death to life. If just so, once we're comparing them, we'll say just like a goad is transportable, you can transport from one place to another. So to Divrei Torah, you could transport from one place to another, meaning you could switch them very easily. If Chacham says one thing, you can just abruptly say what he said isn't true. They're like nails. Nails are fixed. It's hard to remove them. Just like a masmer doesn't get any bigger. It just only gets smaller. When you nail into the wall, it gets smaller. You might think Torah also only gets so. They only get small. That's why the pasuk says in the tomb it's like planted. Manatiyazu part of a rava, just like a sapling, a young tree grows and expands. After Divrei Torah, part of a ravin, so too Divrei Torah grow and expand. Bali asufos. What is the extra? What is that coming to teach you? Zelu tamid chamim sheyoshvim asufos refers to some groups of Talmid that are gathered together in groups. So oskim Torah, and they learn Torah. Halal mitamin, halal mitarin. You have one group of Rabbanim that say it's Tameh, one group of Rabbanim say it's Torah, one group of Rabbanim say it's Asr, one group say Matar. Halal Posim, halal Machshir. One say something's possible, one says it's kosher. Sheba Yomer Adam Heyachani Lami Torah Me'ata. Someone's going to say, people could look at the Rabbanim and say, listen, Torah, I don't want any part of Torah. They can't be true. How could one group of Rabbanim say something's Asr and one group say it's Mutar? It's Machlokes, like the famous refrain. Everyone asks, you go to a balabas and you say, what's the halacha? Machlokes. Everything's machlokes, right? What's up? You ask someone in Daf Yomi shir, what do the Rishonim say about this? What's the halacha? What does Mishnah Berurah say? Machlokes. Everything's machlokes. This Gemara is trying to answer that question. People make a joke, right? Machlokes. So in order to answer that, Torah was really originally given from one shepherd. El Echad Nasnan, Kel Echad Nasnan, Parnas Echad Amran. One God gave it, and one leader, Moshe Rabbeinu, said it. He said it the name from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem spoke all these things, but Hashem spoke all of the Torah. So too, because of that, because they're all divinely given wisdom, so therefore you should make your ears like a sieve in order to figure out which ones make sense, which ones make the most sense to you, which ones some Rabbanim say it's also, some Rabbanim say mutter. So it's up to you. That's what the Torah ultimately is giving you the ability, every person, every yachid, even if you're not a rabbi, to give an ear and try to figure out, learn the Torah, try to be absorbed in the Torah, and try to figure out which is the right way. And it could be even the Gemara saying that even if you're not a rabbi, you could decide what's asr, what's mutter. But maybe the Gemara is saying if you have a little bit, the Gemara says you have to learn a little bit. The Gemara says you have to give mavin l'shmoa zivrei matamu knelecha. You have to try to make your ear like a sieve in order to figure out what's the real truth, right? You can't just go, oh, everyone's machmer, everyone's mekel. No, you should try to be honest with yourself and try to figure out the truth. It doesn't say you have to learn kol hashas kulo, but you have to be someone who learns a little bit and has a discerning and truthful heart to figure out where the truth is and where the truth is not. Because ultimately, even though we say the truth is that there are opinions, like the Gemara is full of machlokas and the Mishnayos, the Gemara is full of machlokas, but that's Elu Divrei Klim Chayim. Their words, Hashem wants to be machlokas. Like the Gemara says here, Hashem wants her to be machlokas in the Torah, try to understand the Torah. He wants to have two opinions. It's very important when you're having a conversation with people or having an argument with people to listen to the other person's opinion. It's a valid opinion. Unless it's something that completely makes no sense, it's an opinion. People are entitled to their opinions. The Torah wants different people should have different opinions about things. But ultimately, there's only one truth, what Hashem really meant. Where our goal in being given the Torah is to try to figure out what is that truth, what is the correct version, or the correct halacha, and whatever we're deciding. And that's up to every person to try to figure out what's the truth. There's many opinions. Means there's many opinions in the Torah. And every opinion could theoretically be a valid opinion. Opinion doesn't mean it's the truth. Opinion means that it's something which I think about and it could logically make sense. Logically makes sense. It could be the truth, but it's not necessarily the truth. And that's up to each individual to discern and find out the truth. So the Gemara says, when Rabbi Yeshua heard all these drashas in the name of Elazar ben Azariah, Ein dar yasam shel Elazar ben Azariah shari b'socho. He said there's no orphan, this generation is not orphaned because we have Elazar ben Azariah. He said great things. So the Gemara says, V'leim rulei behedya. Why did they originally say, no, we're your Talmid, and Rabbi Yeshua, why didn't he ask them, tell me what had happened in the base matters? Why didn't they just say, why did they defer right away and say, oh, Rabbi Yeshua, you tell us? They should have just told them, this is what we learned today. Why did they give him the honor? Because of a similar incident which happened, there was a certain incident which happened, Tani Maisa B'Yossi ben Damascus. Damascus was a certain rabbi. He went to visit his Rebbe Elazar in Lod. He said, what was the chiddush in Beis Midrash today? And without deferring, he answered right away. They voted and they concluded, Ammon and Moab, Ma'aser, Ani b'Shvius. Allah is that Ammon and Moab are nations that are very close to Eretz Yisrael. What exactly they are or not, I don't know. I venture to say Ammon is similar to Amman. Jordan is very close. Ammon is Amman. Amman is the capital of Jordan, which is across the Jordan River. Moab, still not sure where that is exactly, but I would say maybe Syria. I don't know. It has to be a country on the border of Klal Yisrael. Ammon and Moab, Ma'aser, Ani b'Shvius. Normally on Shvius, there's no Trumas and Maestros. You let the land lie fallow. But Ammon and Moab, we're going to see, didn't have the Kedusha Shnia. They were the Kedusha when the Ole Bavel, when they came back from Babylonia, they weren't Makadesh these cities and incorporated them part of Eretz Yisrael. And therefore, you have to take off Maiserani. Maiserani is normally taken off. It's one of the Maestros that you take off on the first, second, fourth, and fifth year. So on the seventh year, you also take it off in Ammon and Moab. Amar lo Yossi, when Elazar heard this, said Yossi pshot yadcha decha v'kabel yinecha. He said, extend out your arms and darken your eyes. And I guess his arms became paralyzed and his sight went away. He was very angry at him that he didn't defer to him and ask him. He's allowed to say what he heard, because he was the Rebbe. He was greater than him. He got angry. He said, the sword of Hashem is to those who fear him. He was upset that this is what he reported, that they had voted on this. They didn't need to vote on this. I knew this from Yochanan and Zakkai. Rabbo. He heard from his rabbi, and his rabbi from his rabbi. It wasn't. You don't have to make a takana over here that this is the halacha. The halacha Moshe Messina. I want to mow of Ma'aseh B'Shvius. I'm in a Moav nowadays do not observe Shvius. Matam harbe kracham kishu olim Mitzrayim. When they left Mitzrayim and they conquered Eretz Yisrael the first time under Yoshua, they incorporated a lot of cities into Eretz Yisrael. Below Kivshim Ole Bavel, when they went up with Ezra out of Bavel after Achashverosh, they didn't conquer everything. They Shekusha Rishon Kisha L'Shais Below Kisha Asa Lavo, and the Kedusha Rishon, when they went in the days of Yoshua, whatever they incorporated into Eretz Yisrael only was good until the destruction of the first Beis Hamikdash, and not after that. And when they came up from Bavel, they didn't incorporate them into Eretz Yisrael, so therefore they should have lands next to Eretz Yisrael. They should be able, which is very practical nowadays. When you have Shvius, it's very nice to have lands near Eretz Yisrael that don't observe Shvius, so you can get chul. It's from chul. You can import from Jordan vegetables that are don't kedusha Shvius. After he calmed down a little bit, he prayed that his eyesight should return, and his eyesight did return. Doesn't say what happened to his hands, whether his hands became useful again. That is the share for today. Hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned, because we have a great, as I introduced, great Iyun with Ben Sion coming up right after this, and it's a really good one. So hope you enjoy. Have a good week.